James Bond is regarded by many as a man's ultimate role model. This is who we would aspire to be as men and who we would strive to raise our sons into becoming. But James Bond as a role model is fundamentally flawed. What I mean by that is he lacks self-direction and free agency. Instead, he has an institutionalized mindset. And to understand this, you have to understand his backstory. He was raised as an orphan from a young age. He became a ward of the state and attended public boarding schools. And then as a young man, he goes to the state and says, "I don't know what to do with my life. What do I do?" And the state turns him into being James Bond. They provide all the training, they provide all the resources, and they condition him to follow orders to a T. He does not exercise self-direction or free agency to any useful degree. Now that might not seem problematic, but you have to understand free agency and self-direction are the foundations of manhood. That is the essence and core of what it is to be a man. Everything else is built around that and on top of that. So when you forego your own self-direction and free agency, you are losing your manhood. You are surrendering to a slave mentality, an institutionalized mindset, and you lose everything it is to be a man. Everything comes crumbling down like a house of cards. So, as a role model to aspire to be, I see James Bond as very flawed, fundamentally flawed from this perspective. There is a more insidious aspect of the James Bond franchise, and that is that there are characters in those movies that have free agency and are self-directed. And it's always the villain. It's always the bad guy. And the part that is problematic is that this associates self-direction and free agency with evil. And it associates an institutionalized mind and submission to the powers that be, blindly, as James Bond does, with good. And so the relationship between free agency and self-direction and an institutionalized mindset is reversed. It's inverted compared to the core concept of free agency and self-direction. Everything about being a man is built on those two aspects of your life, those two aspects of your mentality. So with that understanding, you have to think about what this means for your life and for the lives of the people around you. Do you think that this doesn't have an impact on your mentality and it doesn't impact the culture of all of the people that consume this media? Just look around the West and tell me that this doesn't have an impact. And by this I mean specifically the role models of men. There's not a single coherent role model that's complete in any media that's widely available, that's popular. They're all fractured. And I think that this has been deliberate, and I think it's contributing to the conditioning of men in the West to be submissive and emasculated. And I don't like it. And I see a looming danger in addition to the obvious problems that we have in society now. There is a new set of technologies approaching humanity, and under the umbrella term of artificial intelligence. So the instant that a direct brain-computer interface is developed, and these are being actively developed, I'm sure you've heard of Neuralink, and there are a few others. Once this is accomplished, the instant you connect your brain to a computer directly and have a two-way communication system, you are in danger of losing free agency and self-direction over your own mind. Just like AI is currently censored, and there are things that you can't ask it, it will just won't respond. Its responses will be filtered and censored. Your mind will start to be subject to these same limitations, and you will lose free agency and self-direction. And I think that these films and the media that we consume, which shows these fractured and broken and just twisted masculine role models, is conditioning the populace to accept these things.